Right, let's get started. So yeah, welcome everyone to this webinar. It's great to see so many people joining this webinar. We hope they're useful. We work closely with our SketchUp partners, our SketchUp resellers, to make sure that we deliver these sort of materials with them and that they can help you get the most out of your SketchUp license. And that's what this is all about, just making sure that we have everything sort of for you, and we can do as much as we can around this. So first of all, as I mentioned, we're going to make sure this session is recorded. It will be shared afterwards. And that if you have any questions, there is a Q&A in the control panel to ask questions. There is an amazing team that have helped put this together. Aurelie, who looks after our marketing in sort of our channel, she's done a fantastic job on this and helping our partners with this. And Stefan, who is an absolute SketchUp expert, who's also on the partner success team alongside myself. And he's, sort of really helping with the Q&A on that as well. So, we're all here to sort of help on that. Now, I've seen a couple of people, they've mentioned, sort of with sound, they're just, I think, checking the settings, but yeah, see how we get on. Hopefully we'll keep going through, let us know if there are anything we can do, but it seems majority of people are okay, but hopefully we can sort out some of those settings there as well. Okay, so what we're going to be doing in the webinar, quick introduction around, just a little bit about me, who we are in sort of the SketchUp team here. What am I going to talk about in this webinar, what we're going to do and how we're going to sort of run through it. Just a little bit about SketchUp. SketchUp has sort of the thought of it is just this 3D modeling tool, but there's other tools that we can use as well with, in collaboration and other tools that we can set up and actually make it a lot easier to work with other systems, other people. And then the important part, we want to sort of get going and have the live demos showing within our sort of creating of our model. So a little bit about me. So I'm a partner success manager here at Trimble SketchUp. So I've been with Trimble around 4.5 years, and I've previously worked with sort of our largest customers, but now I work with our resellers, helping their, making sure that they can give you sort of all the information, they can help you with these webinars, and we can sort of get that all set up for you. So, we want to make sure our partners understand SketchUp and help you get the most out of that investment that you have within SketchUp. Now, within this webinar, what we're going to talk about. So, the title of this webinar, Build Your Model in 1 Hour. We're really going to look through at some of the tools, some of the techniques that we can use to create our model, starting from 2D, working into 3D. Now, I know this is an interior design model that we're going to be working on in this one, but it's really more about the tools and techniques that we're going to be using as we go through. So don't worry, it's not just for interior designers. The tools that we're going to be using can be used in any aspect of SketchUp. And we're going to take this right through to sort of creating that final model and even a little bit of sort of rendering at the end as well. So, all the way through. And the tools and some of the features that we're going to be looking at, we're going to sort of have a DWG file looking at how we can take that DWG file and create geometry in SketchUp using push-pull, understanding around it, sort of with, the grouping and components, some of those sort of techniques, the follow me tool, 3D warehouse, components, extensions, AI, V-Ray layout. We're going to cover a lot in this webinar. So, really make sure we have an understanding of some of these different techniques. So I guess a little bit about, SketchUp. sort of where SketchUp's used, why SketchUp's used. And if I, have a look at sort of why SketchUp is used in the way it is, SketchUp, flexibility. It's sort of intuitive, and we've always followed that within sort of 20 years of SketchUp, of really making it flexible, intuitive to use, and giving that freedom of the design. And then being able to collaborate with that communication tools. We've introduced new tools within SketchUp 2026 of collaboration tools, live modeling, live sharing. So, there's some of those as well. And also speed, value for money, getting the most out of your sort of SketchUp sort of investment there as well. And then I'm not, going to read through this slide, but with all these tools and with this information that we have, the benefits of SketchUp has meant that we have people using SketchUp from sort of, people on their own through to sort of construction companies, high-end sort of companies, sort of perfume companies, product companies, and we have SketchUp used in so many different areas. And it always amazes me the type of companies that we have utilizing SketchUp. And this means that, you're in good company of people that are using SketchUp. And like I said, we have people using 1 license, we have people using 2,000 licenses. So, we know that we have a formula here that works and where we have the collaboration. Now, I'm going to quickly talk about this next part because it's worth also understanding there are different versions of SketchUp that we offer. And the different versions have different tools available to you. And I'm going to be showing some features from different SketchUp offerings. So a lot of people have SketchUp Pro, which contains, the SketchUp product that, as a lot of people know, but also, you can work on SketchUp for iPad. We have SketchUp layouts, the extension warehouse, but we can go all the way up to SketchUp Studio, which has all of those tools, but also other tools like Scan Essentials, the Revit importer, V-Ray rendering. So, we have all of those as well. And SketchUp 2026, that came out sort of late last year. So if you have the SketchUp subscription, you can have the latest version of SketchUp. And when, within our sort of project development workflow, this is the thing with all those tools that we have. But, SketchUp can be used in every particular aspect of all of these development workflows, right from the beginning, weather analysis using pre-design, concept designs, visualization, capturing information. SketchUp for iPad is a fantastic tool that, being able to design on the move, being able to show in sort of augmented reality as well. And then, right through to sort of that communication, collaborating on models and bringing that in there as well. So, like I say, SketchUp is used in so many different areas and so many different options. Okay. So, what we're going to look at within our live demo and the way that we're going to lay this out. And the live demo is going to be sort of around 40 minutes because I want to make sure we have sort of some chance for questions at the end. And the live demo, we're going to be going through it with sort of showing different tools and modeling as we go through some of those different techniques, and also, just really showing how these can be used. And I'm going to be using a model that's sort of been created and step by step sort of looking at some of these options. So, we will be sort of jumping as we go through, but I'll explain those different tools as we go and how this has been created as we go through. So getting started within SketchUp, you can obviously start from scratch. You can literally, sort of start drawing. We can also import files like DWG, DXF, JPEGs, PDFs, IFCs, and lots of other types of files as well. So, there's a lot that we can do, sort of right from that the beginning there, when we look within SketchUp. Now, other ways we can import, and this is, popular ways that people do work, like the Revit importer. So within, some of those different advanced sort of versions of SketchUp, you can actually take a full Revit model, import it into SketchUp. SketchUp will recognize those Revit families. They can be turned on and off, and you can actually take that Revit model and work with that directly in SketchUp. It's a very powerful way of working, and we have a number of people sort of using that within sort of architecture and construction. So also point clouds as well. So point clouds are an amazing way to sort of get working, within sort of bringing in your model. So you can scan your space to get those models, and you can actually work with that point cloud directly inside SketchUp. Now, this example that we're showing here, so we're scanning using an iPad. So iPads and iPhones have a built-in LiDAR scanner, and you can scan sort of smaller spaces and smaller models sort of within using just the iPad. Larger spaces, building sites, landscapes, you can use drone scanners, sort of high-end scanners and professional scanners, and you can bring in these point clouds as well. We have people using scanners for sort of bridge design, road design as well. So they're scanning in quite a large area and working with that inside, sort of bringing in the models there. Okay. So what I'm going to do, let's have a look at sort of using SketchUp. So actually have a look at the sort of live SketchUp demonstration. And it is live. I am going to be doing this. So, we'll go through as much as we can. And also, if there are questions that we can sort of answer, Stefan may stop me and just sort of say, okay, let's look at this. But we want to answer as many questions as we can as we go through. Now, all of the questions within the Q&A box, they will be recorded. So this will, be seen at the end, so we can get back to people as well. Now, I have just seen a question come in, actually. So within scanning in point clouds, you need SketchUp Studio license, and we're using Scaniverse, which is the app that we're using within the LiDAR that's included in the iPad and your iPhone, so iPhone 12 and above. So yeah. Okay, right. So let's go into SketchUp here. Now, starting right from the beginning, we have our SketchUp axis that we work with, and just getting an understanding sort of within our 3D space that we have. And I'm going to try and explain as many tools as I can while I'm working through here. So using my middle button, I can sort of pan around my space. If I use Control, that gives me a slightly different sort of rotate around a model. It'll be clearer when I have a model. If I use Shift and my middle button, that pans. So instead of rotates, it pans using the Shift button. So you'll see me doing that a lot as we go through. So, working within here. So when we work within here, we can work using our tools directly from the start. And, if I just use my line tool, we can snap to the origin, and I can start drawing and sort of moving along my origin points or my axes there as well. And I can type a length that I want that line to be, or, it's we can sort of snap to other points, measure it, change it as we go. But what I want to show in this particular version, I'm actually going to import a DWG file. So if I choose import, And we can see all the different types of files that we can actually import into SketchUp. There are 3D files here, so like 3ds files and Collada and a number of files. Again, SketchUp's message has always been around collaboration. But I'm going to choose my DWG file here, and within my DWG, I can look at my options. So within, again, SketchUp 2026, there is a lot of tools that we've incorporated here that help you sort of import a DWG file, because we can look at layers and import those as groups. We can flatten line work, so if it is 3D, import materials, from that DWG file as well. And once I've selected my options and I import my DWG, it lets me know that that's okay. Close that. And that's my DWG file that I now have within SketchUp. Now, the great thing about this is that I mentioned about some of those options. Within my tags here, now tags are a fantastic way of managing your models, and it's sort of a really quite an important sort of version that we have here. And within here, I can actually turn off things. I can turn off the windows, the stairs, the lights, the kitchen, the furniture, the doors. I can basically turn off everything so that I just have my walls in place. Now, I saw a question just come in. So with regards to my SketchUp may look a little bit different to everyone else's. SketchUp, you can customize your menus anyway, but I've also got tools on here like the V-Ray toolbar, so for rendering. I have SketchUp Studio, so I also have tools for point clouds, and I've got the large tool set turned on, so I can see all my tools down the side. So, that may be why it looks a little different to other people's. Okay. So within here, my sort of 2D drawing that I have. Now, what I could do, there's a couple of options here to start working with this in SketchUp. I can literally use sort of my line tools and I can start drawing over the top of this. So I could just snap to the different points. So if, we sort of start sort of drawing there, and there's my surface, and we can then use that around our DWG file. So that's one way we can work, so within using the DWG. Now, another way we can work is we can actually copy the lines from this particular layer. Now, at the moment, the layer is grouped, so if I select the layer, that's why it's selecting the whole thing. So if I keep double clicking, it will take me into the groups that have been imported within my DWG file. And then I will get down to where I can actually see these single lines, and I can select those to work with here. So I've got this far down. I'm going to select everything just by dragging and select, and we'll copy that. And I'm going to make sure I come out of all of those sort of groups that I went into, because I'm going to paste this in here. And now I have my 2D DWG. And as long as I've selected, I've selected the right one, I have all those single lines there that we have. Now, to sort of get this to working, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to trace around this outside, and we can actually start to see the walls appearing there. There we go. I'm going to make sure I trace all of these. I think I may have missed one, but that's not going to cause me a problem in this instance. What I'll do, I'll just trace that there. Okay, so we now have these surfaces that I can start to work with, and using my push-pull, I can bring these walls up. So we now happened, we have them in 3D. So, we can start to bring those in. Now, if I want my walls to sort of bring them in, I can sort of select that. And if I want to specify a distance that I want to extrude using my push-pull tool, I can type in the value that I want. So if I say, I'm going to choose 3 meters. So if I just type 3M, hit return, that's now going to be 3 meters. I could have typed 300 centimeters. I could have typed 3,000 millimeters. Or, I could have typed in sort of 8 feet. It recognizes what you type. And then a sort of a bit of a shortcut here, I can then just double click and actually go around my walls here to create, my model that I have. So, we've now got all of our walls. Or the other option is that I can sort of, when I drag, if I hover over the corner, it will match that wall next to me. So again, a couple of different options there as well. So now we have our walls in here. And within for my windows, I'm going to choose 48 centimeters. So instead of meters this time, 48 centimeters. I'm not going to go all the way around here in the interest of time. But now, we're building the bottom of the walls. With push-pull, if I start to push-pull that top again, we can see that it's moving that bottom wall. If I tap Control, it will then create another wall for me. So, we can actually start to see that sort of window there, and I can specify that. I'm going to say 1.8 meters. And then again to the top there, I can match that. So, we've got those options, and I can select, my window, delete that face, delete the face inside, and we're starting to put together those windows. Okay, using my eraser tool, I can start cleaning the lines up, making sure that our model is nice and clean, bringing that in, and we'll do that inside as well. So think about that with your model as you go, keeping it tidy. We're going to look at an extension as well. So, as we go through, but hopefully that sort of shows, how we can really start quite quickly getting working with that DWG file. Now, when we've created this, if I look at this, we've got separate faces, and if I select anything, if I select a line, it's all separate at the moment. And this is something that I do see people doing. So, if I go to move this, if I think, right, I'm going to move this whole thing, I grab it, it actually grabs just that wall and it starts moving that wall there. So I'm going to escape out of that. If I grab a line, it sort of takes that. And this, we know this as sticky geometry. So what it means is, you're moving basically what you have selected. And what we recommend is if I sort of triple click, that selects everything there, and I'm going to make that a group. And by making this a group, it means it's now all joined together. It's one thing, and I can now move that around as I need. Now, if I do want to edit my group, I just double click and then I go inside of that group and then modify that. And when we have a look and we're going to go through a little further here. So the difference between groups and components, within groups and components. So groups really is sort of managing it. So you join things together, you can place the items together. Components are a little bit more powerful. They have a little bit different options within that there to be able to show sort of really those options within material information, other information that we can capture. And we're going to talk about this of how we can get more information attached to components as well. Also, what's quite important is components are a fantastic way if you have lots of things within the same file that are the same. So a company I worked with, they were a perfume company. They had like 600 bottles within their shop. They were the same bottle, but by using components, it meant that SketchUp only loaded the one bottle and then said this bottle is in this 600 locations. It really helped with a lot of information. Okay, I've seen a number of things come up regarding scale, and apologies about that. So within scale, when you import your DWG file, your DWG file will come in at the scale that the DWG file was drawn at. So as long as the DWG file was drawn correctly and at scale, it will come into SketchUp at the right size. So that DWG file that I worked on there as well. With regards to having a look at, like a sample DWG file using DWG, if you go to learn.sketchup.com, there's some very short courses, some simple courses there, and one of them is actually about 2D to 3D DWG files. So there's some little sort of training parts there. Or if you talk to your resellers, a lot of them have training available, and they can do custom training as well. So, that's sort of an option there. Okay. So what we're going to do, I'm going to make sure that I sort of delete the geometry that I've created so far, because, in the classic terms, people in the UK, here's one we made earlier. So I have this model here with building these walls, and it's all been completed with sort of the walls and windows. Now, scenes. Scenes are a very important way of working within SketchUp. Within SketchUp, the scenes that you have within SketchUp, you can use those for views within layout. You can use them for animations, and you can also control visibility of different items within SketchUp as well. So within SketchUp, using those scenes, that's what we're going to have a look at here. So, I've got this model that's been created. I can then turn on sort of more items as we go through, and, we're going to have a look at this and populating the model as we go. So I'm going to be working with scenes a lot. And scenes are fantastic. Here and under the scenes, we can create new scenes. You can control what it looks like, the style of everything, also within scenes. And even things like turning on, your shadows and can be done within scenes. And I can control exactly sort of where I am in the world, the time of day, and that will show me the correct shadows. So, that can be set up as well. Okay. So let's look at some more of the some of the modeling sort of options that we have here. Now, the Follow Me tool. This is a really good tool when we're sort of looking in here. And the Follow Me tool means that you can basically draw a shape and it will follow a line. It will extrude along the line. And this is a great way for like skirting or coving within SketchUp. And the way to do it, and if I show, we'll just come sort of outside the model here a little bit. I've just drawn a line sort of on the floor there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it a little bit easier for me, because I'm going to select these three lines using Control, and then I'm going to weld them together. So that's now one line, and you'll see why I'm going to do this in a minute. Because if I draw a circle on the end of this line, make sure there we go, we'll go to this particular view. I don't want my circle to be too big. We'll say 10 centimeters. It's fine. And within the Follow Me, now there's two ways that we can use this. If I select the Follow Me tool, I can select my circle and then I can sort of drag it along my line. The other option is if I select my line there that I've welded together, and I select the Follow Me tool and just click my circle, it then just immediately follows that line. So works there. It's much sort of quicker and easier with that. And the reason why I want to show that, if I will just delete that there we go. Because if I look at the moldings that we have in here, there's a shape there of sort of quite a nice molding around the top. And what's actually been done, if I just click here, there is a line that's been drawn all the way around the top. It's all welded together. And by selecting that first, if I say follow me, and I want that line to be followed with the molding tool, we now have that around the entire room in one click. So very quick and easy to sort of create that. And, we could do that the same with the skirting. If I just draw, a line around the outside of the room, I can sort of create that as well. So, and making sure, our line is accurate. A couple of different ways we could do this. I could use my measure tool. So we have the tape measure here. And if I select that edge, and it will give me a guideline that I can use for geometry. And I can say I would like this to be 15 millimeters from there. And then I can use a line from the floor and say 100 millimeters. And I've now got this guide that I can use my rectangle to select that one and that one. And I've got that for my skirting. And we can actually see, so there's those dimensions there. I know I did it in millimeters, but great to be able to mix. And then draw my line, use the follow me tool, and we can do that quickly from here. So if I go to the end there, let's just view out a little bit. This is something, again, you do get used to sort of when you're working. We'll go along there with my line. And I have two separate lines at the moment. So if I just choose my follow me tool, use that, and that's, oops, sorry. Let's use that line. And I didn't select that line first. That one was selected. But then, I could drag that around. I could select the other follow me. Hopefully, that makes sense. One thing, when you, use the sort of the ruler there, it does leave those reference lines. So again, I can just use my eraser tool and just drag over them and say, I don't want those reference lines in there. The other option is when you draw a rectangle, if you look down my bottom right-hand side of my screen, it's giving me the dimensions of the rectangle, and I could actually just type in, like, if I want to show a rectangle that we can see here, if I do 2 meters, 1 meter, that will draw a rectangle that size for me. So the accuracy that you can have in SketchUp, you can literally go down to like, 5 points in a millimeter. So, the accuracy is together there, sort of quite a lot. Okay. Right. So applying textures, and I appreciate I'm going quite quick, but we want to cover a lot within here. So I have a couple of groups within my model here. So I have my walls. I have sort of those the coving around the ceiling there, but I also have the floor, and the floor is actually sort of set up as a component. So we have my floor in here. And the way about this also makes it sort of nice and easy to manage with regards to things like materials as well. So within my materials, if I just use my paint bucket here, I'm going to hide the entity info just at the moment. And I can say, well, what materials do we have in SketchUp? We have some different wood materials. So if I choose this wood veneer there, now I didn't go into the face, so what I will come under that one. Let's now make sure we've actually, gone right into the face. Select that wood veneer. And when you see it's quite small at the moment, so I can right click on, on that, and, we can have a look at those materials, texture position. So, this right clicking on that gives us the ability to sort of rotate, to move, to scale. So I can sort of grab these pins and, we can scale that material there. We can also edit the material and actually look at the more of the details and put in our specific size. So that's using, some of those SketchUp materials that we have. That's great. We have our floor then, within SketchUp. But what I'm going to do I'm actually going to create my own materials. So, if we have our customer that said, well, actually, here's a material sample, I'm going to use a texture image that they have supplied me. And if I go within my my desktop, there we are. I have my folder here that I've all set up, ready to go. And I'm going to choose this wood floor. So if I say ash wood floor, I can set that up, and I know that that sample that is there, I think that's is it a 5? I think it's a 5 meter sort of sample square, and I've now got that material that I can now paint using my own material. So it's a great way, with creating those materials there within sort of my model, and I can come back out of that, and I now have my floor. Now, the great thing about sort of working with this and having the floor as a component, if I look at the information on the floor and in the attributes, which is metadata, so data about data, so in here, we can see that we can actually put in information about this floor, a link to that, to where we can buy that floor from, and the manufacturer of the floor. And we can then use that to actually report on them. We'll see that later when I go into layout. Okay, so now we have our model and we can look at populating it. So hopefully a lot of people are familiar with the 3D warehouse. The 3D warehouse is the world's largest library of free 3D models for SketchUp. It has millions of models in there, and these have been created from real life companies. So companies like Velux, there are lighting companies and furniture companies that use SketchUp, and they create their own model catalogs for you to use. There's also library models there that users can create as well. So there's a huge number of models within the 3D warehouse. They are interior, exterior, there's machining equipment, there's cars, almost most things you can think of will be in there. So, using interior, exterior, garden design, landscape modeling, a lot of things will be in the 3D warehouse. And I can go into the 3D warehouse here, and I could just search for something to find within here. So if I search for a particular lamp, so if I say Arco lamp floss, quite a famous style of lamp, and there's a number of models. So there's 13 sort of models here that have been created that we can use within SketchUp. What's really useful to just look at the filters, because sometimes you want to look at the file size. Some of these can be quite big. So that one's 2.5 megabytes. That's not too bad. I can say, just show me ones up to 1 megabyte, certain poly counts, because your model may get sort of heavier and heavier. So that's, 1/4 megabyte, relatively small model. And I could just sort of select that and bring that directly into SketchUp if I want to. So, that's one way we can sort of search there within the 3D warehouse. Another way we can search in the 3D warehouse is you can actually use images. And I have a photo here. So if, again, customer has turned around and said, I love this, this particular sort of sofa. It's like, okay, let's see what they've got there. And I can literally drag that image into the 3D warehouse, and it will show me models that are similar to that image. It may not get exactly the same. It will depend on what models there are in there. It's looking at a number of things within the 3D warehouse. So many things that we can use in there. And if I'm going to search for, so if I say we want a pot plant, and nice simple pot plant there. And this is actually a live component, which is great. And I'll show what that sort of means. And if I say download and configure, bring that into SketchUp. It's just updating my scene thumbnails. Hopefully that won't take too long. No, that's great. There we go. We can put that pot plant in our model here. And as it's a live component, we can choose, how sort of our poly count medium, what type of plant it is. I'm going to say I would like a tree. And then we can choose sort of our height of tree, the diameter of the tree. So live components have this type of sort of effect in them. Not all components in the 3D warehouse will have this. But have a look, when you go into the 3D warehouse, you can actually apply the filters that say you want live components or just within the model there. So, and it's really useful to have. And the good thing is now we've got that. If I move it and hit Control, it means I can just have another one. So we'll move that around the room. We'll have that over there as well. And the good thing is, like I said, these are components, so they will be just loaded once within the model. Okay. Another way we can populate our model within SketchUp is using AI tools. And this is something that is new to SketchUp 2026. So we have the SketchUp AI and the SketchUp AI assistant, so you can ask for help. Also, we can actually generate objects within AI as well. So if I choose my object generator, I can just drag and drop something in here, and it will look at the photo or the description. So if you described a particular type of sofa or furniture, it will actually sort of be created in there. So, we can drag and drop that in there and it will create. I'm not going to do this. And the reason for this is it does take 3 or 4 minutes to actually create. But the great thing is it will create your model. The one thing to mention with this is it is a credit system and you do need to buy credits. You get a number of free credits every month anyway, but it will utilize credits, and also the AI render will as well. But what we did, and if I sort of show again in my model here, so this was the photo that I sent to SketchUp AI, and this is the model that it came back with me. It came back to me with. So what I'm going to do, let's remove those sofas from here. And within the model that it came back, I can literally just drag and drop that, and I can put that in my model sort of where I want it. So this model, and I promise that, like I said, the only reason I didn't do it takes too long. But this model was created from that photo using SketchUp AI. So, it is a really quick and easy way to clean here. To create these models. Okay. I want to quickly talk about extensions. So extensions within SketchUp are sort of quite a powerful way of actually expanding the SketchUp sort of ability of working. And we have an extension warehouse as well. And extensions are programs that people have written that can help do things that you do sort of day to day within SketchUp. And SketchUp extensions that I use quite regularly, if I look at my extensions list, I have cleanup. And cleanup is great because you can clean up things like hidden geometry, stray edges, so where I traced over things and there's an edge on an edge, which aren't great. If there are two faces sitting together, it can help with that as well. And also like something like the material resizer. This is one that people fall into sort of quite regularly, that they'll have an image on a wall. So we can see like an image of, just to use as a picture on the wall. And they use something that's way too big. So they use an image that's sort of several megabytes. And within the material resizer, it actually looks at everything here and it will show me anything that's sort of a particular size. So if I choose show materials larger than sort of 2048 pixels, black pattern texture, that one, that's massive. That's sort of 4,000 by 4,000. So bigger than, sort of 4K. So it really doesn't need to be that. And what we can do, we can actually reduce materials here within this extension. If I say reduce the selected materials to 512, which is a much smaller sort of size there, and say go, and it's automatically going to resize those materials, and it will improve the efficiency of the modeling that we have within SketchUp. So that's done. Resize those 3 materials. It's now taken those off, and it will help SketchUp perform. I did also, again, I know there was a sort of a comment that people mentioned. So, within extensions, there is an extension called Face Up, which will take the 2D like DWG file and actually look at it to create faces from it as well. So, within sort of Face Up here, if I select all of these, and within my extensions and Face Up, I can say summon faces, and it's then created faces from all of those lines. It's a quicker and easier way of doing it if, that's the way sort of happy to work. And then you can just select the faces that you want sort of to extrude and to sort of push pull. So, extensions are another way that we can expand. It's worth mentioning extensions can only be used in SketchUp Desktop. So if you're using SketchUp for web, you can't install another program in there. Okay. So within scenes as well, we can set up scenes to basically work so that they work for layout, because we're going to finish sort of looking up at layout with setting how we can create like a drawing pack, an information pack, sort of for our customers. So there are different camera views, and this is, like I said, this is a great thing again with scenes, because if I go to my camera, we've got standard views, so I can just say, actually, I'd like to see this from the top view. I have perspective on at the moment, which is why these walls are sort of looking like that, so looking kind of down that tunnel. But if I turn off in my camera, if I choose parallel projection, we now have a straight view, more classic view that we would have within 2D there as well. So this would be our top view. And we can also choose this. So, we can go in and actually this one has got a section plane on it. If I choose view and go to section plane, this section plane has actually sort of cut the top off. So within our plan view, we can see those windows and doors and then use this within layout. And I'm going to get to layout as sort of quickly as I can, because I know we're sort of coming up to time and I want to make sure we go through some questions here. Okay. So what I want to finish off with our model is around kind of our rendering. And within rendering within SketchUp, there is a couple of options. So we can use our SketchUp AI again. So we have within SketchUp AI, we have an AI render tool. And what this will do is it will look at the view that we have selected. And we can choose if we want a photorealistic interior. We can create a prompt. We can describe things. So if I put in my prompt here to say, editorial photo, interior design magazine, elegant interior, and then we can actually just say generate this render. Now, with the AI render, this is great for creating like quick ideas within rendering. So this takes the view and renders the view. So it doesn't look at the exact geometry. It tries to create it as sort of much the same as we do have it. And within the renderer, it sort of uploads that to the cloud, does the rendering, comes back, brings my images back. And we can see it's a little different styles. It's given me some options and definitely sort of more sort of decorative chandelier on a couple of those options. But it gives me a really quick and fast render. And, you can do this with clients straight away to say, okay, is this the type of thing you're looking for? because then with rendering, you can sort of take it further if you want to and say, okay, here's one that we have with AI render. Yep, this is what we're looking for. Let's take it a little bit further. And what we can do this with is V-Ray. Or there are other renderers as well. People have probably seen multiple sort of different render packages. But within V-Ray, I can take this, and V-Ray is a little different because it actually looks at the model and all the materials from SketchUp, and it will apply more sort of realistic photorealistic images and materials to that geometry, and it will create the render from SketchUp. So this is the render that we have from SketchUp. And also, with this being interactive, we can see as I rotate my model, we can get those different views within V-Ray. And the great thing is with V-Ray is also we have lots of tools within V-Ray. V-Ray is an amazing tool. Chaos Cosmos is like a library of components, and that's just placed that behind another window. Let me just bring that in if I can get to it. There we go. We've got a library of components here that we can actually use, and there are cars, and these are render ready. These are sort of ready to go. So if we look here, we've got James. James is sort of a 3D figure sitting down. I can bring James in here, and if we just have him sitting on the edge over there by the TV, it shows what's called a proxy model in SketchUp, and that's a simplified model. James is floating and looking at the wall. I hadn't spotted that. That's fine. So what we can do, we can take James and we can rotate him. But we can see that it's a simple proxy model within SketchUp, but within V-Ray, it's a render-ready model to go. So there we go. We can move James back. So he is actually sitting on the side there. And we've got James in our model. So brilliant. So great. Okay. I've been as quick as I could through that because I want to finish on sort of with layout. Now, with layout, so we'll stop that there. There we go. With layout works alongside SketchUp and can create those drawings that we want to look at. So, excuse me. If I, in File, and I say send to layout, it will open layout for me, and it'll ask me some details like, paper size and things like that. And we can import the scene views within layout. So we have a number of pages, and this has been preset. You need to sort of add these drawings, but these are actually links to our 3D model. So if I make changes within our 3D model, they will be changes within our views. But we have those different views that we've spoken about. So we have our view here, and this one's been dimensioned. And if I just select my dimensions, I can then say, well, actually, I'd like internal dimensions within that wall as well. If I just double click, it will actually place another dimension for me, similar to sort of the push-pull there as well. Also, what we can do within layout, we have our sort of drawing, and we have scrapbooks. So the scrapbooks have sort of the icons there. So we have living rooms, so kitchens, bedrooms. And if I just choose within my scrapbook here, I'll just go to my tool, I can choose a particular sort of block, and I can bring that in and obviously rotate that round with the different tools. And so say, no, we want that one round that way. That's fine. We can move it around as we need, but it still recognizes geometry, so it can sit underneath things and behind things. So that, that's fine. I know I should have placed that straight, trying to be as quick as I can, because also within our pages, we can add material information. So that is linked to that, the component that we have, and that again will update. So though that actually links, and if I sort of create one from here as well, that can link to my component definition. So tile flooring, it recognizes that's been added within our sort of information. And and we can bring that in and link that. So if that updates, that dimension will update as well. We can have details going into like our kitchen. We can attach our renders, and this entire pack can then be sent to somebody as like a PDF or, information like that as well. Okay, right. Time to breathe. I ran through that as quick as I could. So let's have a quick look through some of the questions. Let's see how many questions we can get in. So the page for DWG scale, does that mean around the learning? So that's learn.sketchup.com. If you go to that, there's some tools there as well. The weld tool, yeah, that's a standard SketchUp tool, welding those lines together that we had. So if I quickly go back to SketchUp, will be as quick as I can here. Yeah, just when you draw lines like that, once you select them, right click and say weld edges, and that will weld those lines together. Follow me tool, often not the perpendicular error. Yeah, that one sort of talks about, you may see some weird things if you're going around corners. So that's is what's happening now. I can't go into full details with sort of the time I have, but what we'll do, we can always talk about that if you do have problems. Working in scenes, how to keep all the elements separate. It really is, yeah. So it is around updating those scenes. So turning things on and off within tags. So within 3D here, everything's nicely managed in tags. You can even have tag folders, which are brilliant because then you can say, turn multiple things off. If I turn off what's in the dining room there, I update my scene. So I can either right click on it and choose update, or I can do this from the scene manager, and that will update my scene with sort of the furniture there. Okay. Just going through any questions. If Stefan, if you've seen any questions, feel free to ask away, because we've had so many people on this webinar, and I know Stefan has been extraordinarily busy behind the scenes, so thank you.
Yeah, we have many questions. Yeah.
I'm literally scanning through. Are you able to obtain these images from like Ego Chronospan? You can. A lot of companies will provide like material samples, files. Make sure you say it's tiling, so the material can tile. So you can bring those in. How to change the dimensions of those dynamic objects? Scale. So using the scale tool there, that will scale any particular object. So depending on what size that, like the chair is there, if I choose scale, and if I choose the corner, which means it's a uniform scale, and again, down the bottom right-hand side, you can see what scale I want to add. And if I say I want this scale of 3, that will make that 3 times the size, Every gaming room dream, that chair. But yeah, let's undo that scale. Okay, I'm going to stick around to see if there are any questions, but I understand people need to leave. I want to thank everyone for coming to this webinar. If you have any questions or you need information about like SketchUp Studio, contact, your resellers and partners. They're an amazing sort of amount of information that they have, and they can help you with all this, whether it's organizing trials or anything like that as well. But yeah, please, ask them as well as you go. Can we edit the material or color of items be created by somebody else in the warehouse? Absolutely. So anything that's been created in the 3D warehouse, I can double click inside. You can start selecting faces and you can start editing those materials. The AI rendering tool, that's in all versions of SketchUp, but as I mentioned, you do need to have those tokens. You get a number free a month, but yeah. How do I get AI assistance? So yeah, AI assistance is in the menu. It's all right. There we go. So within AI, if I choose in there the AI assistant, now the AI assistant is completely fine, or go to the help there, I can literally click on how to use the follow me tool, or I could type my own question and it will show you the help with that within the help center as well. Lots of questions about external extensions. I'm sorry, I can't sort of go into sort of specifics around a number of it because there is so many. Landscaping. Somebody said around landscaping materials, what you can do within your materials. We also do actually have, there's a material sort of section in the 3D warehouse. So if you actually go into the 3D warehouse there, you can search for materials as well as sort of collections in there. So if I say I want grass, look at materials, and that will give me a number of materials. So that's, SketchUp there that we'll bring in as well. And we're doing, there's a huge amount of sort of work going on there as well. Advice on importing 3D DWGs with curves. This has been improved a lot in 2026. So hopefully that should be improved a lot there. The camera tools. Now, like I said, if people are still happy, how many? Yep, not everyone's left. We've still got a few hundred people with us here as well. So let's have a look at the camera. We can quickly look at the camera tools. There's a lot of camera tools that we have. So I've generally been using sort of my rotate tool with my middle button. The other camera tools we have, zoom extents. So zoom extents will expand out and show everything. We can position a camera and we can specify the height of our camera. So if I say I want a camera placed in the corner of the room there, okay, I'm looking in the corner of the room, and then we get the eye tool, and that will like look round from that point of the camera. And I've specified the eye height by default. I think it's like 5'10", or 1.67 meters. And then, you can use the eye tool to sort of look around there. So we can see, was it Andrew sitting on the side there? While we're in here, we can also use the walk around tool as well. So if I choose the walk tool, we can actually then control where we're going along with our walk tool here. And that maintains sort of that same height there. But, we can see, there we go. We can walk into our kitchen, have a look around our kitchen. I think I've turned off my dining room furniture. Let's turn it back on. That's better. And we can look around it. So that, some of those sort of tools that we can have there as well. We've got field of view tool. So field of view there, it sort of chooses how we look at it, from sort of those different camera angles. Estate agents like that view because we can make the room sort of fit in more sort of that view there as well. Okay. Somebody mentioned about working in kitchen design. Can the architect send us their whole file ready for us to design in? Absolutely. And there's a couple of ways we can do this. And one thing we didn't really talk about was within Trimble Connect. So within Trimble Connect, it's a library that's included with your SketchUp Pro license or other licenses, but you can work within Trimble Connect projects. And within the project, so if they create, so I've got a number of Trimble projects here that are sort of projects that we can work on. So within an architectural house, we have our sort of demo house here, but we can actually go in, and if they've uploaded their kitchen, it means they can work on their kitchen, but you can still import that kitchen from Trimble Connect. So if I say import from Trimble Connect, I can import something in here, and I'm trying to think if there's something that I can import that would work. Let's choose house. I will choose kitchen. Let's choose kitchen. We'll import that. This is going to be quite probably a large one. Oh no, that's, I think that might just be an image. I've imported an image. Let's not do that. But importing the image in Trimble Connect means that you've imported their model. But the good thing is that if they update it within Trimble Connect, so they're working on that project as well, you can then take that and you can update that from Trimble Connect. So it will update it if they're continuing to work on there as well. So great. Can I use my SketchUp Pro on my iPad? Yes, if you have a SketchUp Pro license, yeah, install it on your iPad Pro. And also, yeah, that license works there as well. There's some feedback there. It was a bit rushed towards the end. I agree with you, and it's because I went into too much detail a little bit at the front there. But apologies for that. And we always take this feedback on board. And then we're going to sort of look at webinars, and we want to do this, these webinars regularly as well. Okay, what if materials aren't big enough? You can scale those materials. So if I edit my material here, at the moment I've got 5 meters. You could update that texture to 10 meters. If it looks too if it's too small, ultimately the icon is too small, you can make it much bigger there as well. Okay. Right, we have all of the questions recorded, and there's feedback there about, can we have webinars on rendering? Can we have webinars on, just different modeling techniques as well? We're going to follow all of this. We'll look at all of these. Talk with your partners. They have webinars, they have materials, there are recordings as well that we can help with. Massive thank you from me for everyone attending this webinar. I know there's still a few hundred people here, so thank you for sort of sticking with me on these questions as well. Massive thank you to Stefan. Stefan did a huge amount of work on this model and for helping with these questions. It's been brilliant. And a thank you to Aurelie as well. But yeah, thank you. I hope it's been useful. We do read forums, we do read voices, so keep feedback there as well. But yeah, huge thank you to everybody for attending the webinar. So, and we'll hopefully see you again soon. Thank you very much.